Lifeboat Live, we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Good evening, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass, as always, is my partner, Captain Mark Wages. And you are on the lifeboat. Hey, my brother Johnny's here. Johnny, how are you? Good to see you. So we're into the new year, people, and I don't know about you, but it's very much at this point feeling like the new year. I'm in a pretty good place in terms of having the new year behind me is a big deal. It really is. I feel so much better on the first week of January. I always just sort of feel like I'm catching my stride. I'm not getting enough sleep. I'll be honest with you. I'm struggling with the sleep thing. Last night, I got a lot. Like the boat ended last night, and I did a little bit of work for my business. We got some stuff listed, and not a lot, just a little bit because I wanted to get to bed early. And I went up and lied down, and I'll bet you I didn't even roll over. You ever have one of those nights? You put your head on the pillow, and you young guys, as you get older, you'll realize that the toilet calls to you during the night. It doesn't happen when you're a kid. But when you get older, for whatever reason, it insists that you go and visit it several times an evening. But last night, there wasn't even any of that. I went to sleep, and I slept like a stone, throughout the entire night. Yet, today I'm dragging again. I guess I got to catch up. The holidays are over, so I think I should probably be getting into the next phase, where we're getting into the new year proper. Hey, Bubba, good to see you. I love Bubba. Bubba's a good friend of mine. Very, very good dude. So today is going to be a fun one, people. And I'm telling you the truth. Did you see what I did there? Mark got it. I don't know if anybody else got that, but now we're going to be truthful. This is a subject that we don't talk about enough. And I know that we've done shows on it in the past, but you honestly can't talk about this subject enough. And the reason should be pretty obvious, but what it really comes down to is, unfortunately, the fruits of drug addiction and drug dependency, alcohol dependency, whatever you want to call it, addiction in general. The fruits of that is lies. I'm working with somebody currently right now, and I told them that I was going to be using them as an example. And the only request I got was that I did not use their name, and I'm not going to do that. But I'm working with someone whose addiction is not drugs or alcohol related. Their addiction is shopping. This individual has a very very serious problem with the inability to not use credit cards. It's it's really becoming a an issue for this person, and I'll tell you the story because again, we're not going to say the individual's name, but they're uh, they're hovering at the $230,000 mark in outstanding credit card bills, and we started to set up a plan to try to get this knocked out. And this individual had assured me that the first thing they did was to break all the credit cards, which was something that we had agreed upon because pretty good idea if if that's your habit, that getting rid of those cards is genius, right? You can't have those laying around. It's like, well, it's like having cocaine laying around the house if that's your drug of choice, right? These cards really become an issue for this person, and it's a fascinating case study because we think of addiction and we think of drugs, we think of alcohol. You might think about gambling or whatever, but there are so many other addictions out there. Food is probably the biggest in the world. Anything that you do to make yourself feel better, right? Anything you do to get your brain to release a feel good chemical can cause a legit addiction. And for this individual, it's shopping. And so we made a deal. The credit cards all got broken, and we spend a decent amount of time talking and texting and emailing one another to work on this. And today I talked to this person in the morning, and I'm not putting them on blast because I promised you people I did tell them that we were going to be doing this. But I talked to this individual this morning, and I said, "Hey, how are you feeling?" "Good, good." I said, "Excellent. Everything going all right? You feeling a little strange or anything like that?" "No." And you ever just talk to somebody and you know that what they're telling you is just utter horse crap? You know, I know that anyone that has a significant other has gone through this. How you doing? Fine. You sure that nothing's bothering you? Nope. Then everything is okay then. Yep. Okay. Well, it was one of those phone calls, and it was really really obvious that that this person was not telling me the truth. So I kind of played along, and hopefully in hopes that this person was going to come clean to whatever was bothering them, and that didn't happen. So I hung up the phone, and I got a text about 30 minutes later that said, "I'm not being completely honest." I said, "Well, good. Now we're getting somewhere. So you're just having a tough morning. I understand. That is part of what we're doing. So talk to me." The bad morning was $3,700 in purchases that were made. And I know that to a lot of us, this probably sounds so foreign, but I just want you to suspend disbelief for a second and think to yourself, they went out and bought a bag, right? They went out and got a fifth or whatever it is that makes sense to you, because I promise you it was the same thing. This individual found themselves feeling hollow. They found themselves feeling uncomfortable in their own skin. So they blew in the ballpark of $4,000. And for a period of time, it made them feel great, right? It really did. It got them that dopamine rush. And, all of a sudden things felt fairly normal to them. Unfortunately, then came the guilt. And then came the fear that they were going to have to tell Captain Tommy about it, because as you all know, I'm the cruelest person in the world, and I was going to mock them openly and treat them like crap for what they did, which of course is not what I did. I said, "You know what? Don't beat yourself up too bad." And then it started to occur to me, and I said, "Where did the money come from? That's a lot of money. Where did that come from?" And as it turns out, not all of the credit cards were broken. And the conversation started something like this. Well, there was one card that I forgot that I had. It was in a sock drawer. And I was putting some stuff away today, and I came across it, and I realized that there was still a little bit on there, and for that reason, it got me thinking, and there was something that I had been looking at the other night. And before the call was over, we got to the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter was that when this individual broke all the cards in half, they took one of them and put it in a sock drawer because they didn't really want to burn the bridges, right? They didn't want all of the ships torched. They wanted to have that one card left over in case of emergency. And emergency, as it turned out, this time was clothing and shoes. I'm not sure that rises to the level of emergency, but that's exactly what happened. And in this person's head, they were justifying this as, well, this was an emergency. Before the end of the call, we got to the truth, and there's an old cliche that the truth will set you free, and I watched it happen today. I really did. I watched what happened when this person could finally say to me, "I lied to you. I lied to you when I told you I broke all the cards. I lied to you." And I said, "So you saved one card, right?" And they said, "No, I saved three." They did not break all of the cards. Three of them were kept around in case of emergencies. One has been used. The other two have not. And I asked this person if they would be willing to do a video call so that I could actually see them breaking the cards. And they agreed to do that. And having been a heroin addict, lying is something that I got really good at. And addicts tend to get really good at things like this. And all of the little slick things that we do that we think we're being slick. So I watched this individual break their cards, and one of them looked really familiar to me, right? This was a card that I no doubt had in my wallet, and it was a Home Depot card. I assure you, if you knew this person's shopping habits, this was a non-issue card. There was absolutely no reason whatsoever that this card is of any danger to this individual. And for lack of a better way to put it, they were sneaking in a card so that they could keep the other one, right? And I was able to call them on it, and it was amazing. It really was a case study in honesty versus dishonesty. Because when I caught the person, there was that first. There was it's a very normal routine that I'm sure we've all gone through, right? First, there was indignation. What? No. I mean, it might be orange, whatever. No, that's a Visa card. I said, good. Let me get a look at it, right? It's broken, but it's not pulverized. Let me get a look at the four pieces of it because it doesn't look like a Visa card to me. Man, I can't. I don't need to show you this. Before it was all said and done, the truth came out. And it got us talking about honesty. And, I made it very clear that I'm not angry at this person. I'm really not, because it makes so much sense to me. And I hope it makes sense to everybody here, because lying is it's the byproduct, or it's the fruit of an addiction, regardless of what that addiction is. If we want to keep it going, we're going to have to lie, right? You can't keep an addiction flying without telling an awful lot of lies. And I think that when you can finally get past that, right? When you lay it out on the table and it's out in the open. This is who I am. I'm lying to you. Here's why I was lying. We had a very, very productive phone call, and I think that we made some headway. But it really got me thinking. It got me thinking about my past and about all of the other people that I work with on the boat. And, it got me looking up there are some great quotes throughout history that people have said concerning lying. Shakespeare said, "Man is not what he thinks he is. He is what he hides. And things come apart easily when they have been held together by lies." Which I think is really kind of a cool quote. And then he finishes with, um, anything is better than lies and deceit. And I want that to be the takeaway today. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but I want the takeaway to be that anything is better than lies and deceit. The telling the truth, coming out, laying your soul bare to the people who are trying to help you is the start of everything good. Zen Wen, thank you, hun. I really appreciate that. This individual and I finally made some headway today. We've spent a lot of time talking. We came up with game plans. We wrote down lists. We did all of these things that were going to help this individual fight their addiction. But we didn't get anything done, right? It was just lies. Because even if you've got one in the chamber, right? If you got rid of everything and I broke all the cards, if there's one still there, the fact that you broke 30 doesn't mean anything. The fact that there's one that's still there is the only thing that matters. If that sounds cruel or whatever, that's just the truth of it. If you say I destroyed every single bottle of booze in my house, I got rid of everything. I had some in the garage. I had some hidden under the bed. I threw out everything. If you've got a pint hidden somewhere in that house, then everything is a lie. All of the good that was done is all a lie. And we live in a society today where that's cool, right? We really do. We live in a society today where lying isn't even considered necessarily a really bad thing. In fact, there are times where it is lauded as a great thing to do. Harry Reid was a politician from Nevada, and there was a presidential election going on, and he came out with a quote very close to the election that said, "The candidate running has never once paid taxes," right? Ever. This man has never paid $1 in federal income tax. It was a lie. It was an absolute lie. And the person came out and they released all of their tax information to prove that no, there was no truth to that. In fact, this person had paid millions of dollars in taxes, but it was too late. By the time that that information had come out and it had made the news, the damage had been done. And I saw a great interview where they called him on. They said, are you telling me that you really believed that, you had access to that? You knew you were lying. His response was, yeah, but it worked, didn't it? The world that we live in today, lies are okay if they work. And this is something that permeates every aspect of our life. It's not whether or not you lie, it's whether or not you get caught lying, right? How many times have you heard recently where someone will say an expression like, well, go ahead and tell your truth? Huh? My truth. Or Mark, you go ahead and tell your truth. Mark doesn't have a truth, right? I don't have a truth. There's one friggin' truth, right? The rest of them can be opinion. The rest of them can be whatever the hell you want them to be, but they can't be truth. There's no such thing as your version of the truth. That is an expression, right? If you Google that term, you will see so many things pop up talking about how this person was talking about their version of truth, or so-and-so was coming clean on their version of truth. This is our world. And there's a reason that we live in a crap hole right now, worldwide. And it's because the things that used to be etched in stone are now more, sort of malleable, right? Now truth is not black and white. Truth lives in that area of gray. And you hear things like, well, truth is in the eye of the beholder. Bullcrap. Truth is truth. We have a guy on the boat, and I'm going to put him on blast because he's not going to be upset that I put him on blast. He's not going to be because of the particular way that I'm going to use this. Brandon Galloway has been with us a long time, and his substance of choice, we had two. One was marijuana, and he's over a year clean on that, and the other is alcohol, and he has struggled with overcoming alcohol. It's been a real struggle for the guy. and he'll get 30 days in and then he'll relapse, or he'll get 60 days in and then he'll relapse. Last year, I believe he got to 90 something and then made a choice to relapse on his birthday. But the most amazing thing to me is that virtually every single time this man relapses, he comes here and says, I drank last night. Nobody can see him. Nobody knows what he did last night. Nobody is there to bust him. He could come here without any problem at all. He wouldn't even have to look anybody in the eye because that's really not how we do it, right? We're a virtual boat, which means he's in a different part of the world. But without fail, he comes here and he admits what he's done. And I think that he has had a huge hand in causing that to happen with a lot of other people. It never ceases to boggle my mind just how honest the crew of this boat is. For real. Because without fail, they could pull the wool over our eyes and we wouldn't know. Am I saying everybody has been honest? No. No. And the sad thing is that my bobble-headed partner and I, we're well aware of a few that slid by us. Oh, yeah. We're well aware of a few people that straight up lied. Some of them, we had a person lie that they lied they needed help, and we extended that help. We bent over backwards to ensure that this individual got help. They didn't need help. They really didn't. They needed a Band-Aid that was going to keep them going just long enough to get back on dope. And they knew that. If you hear their story, they'll say, well, I was really trying to do everything right, but then it just got so hard and I slipped, and you know what? It's bullcrap. It's bullcrap. They were playing us from the word go. It's not the end of the world. It really isn't. But it's amazing to me, and Mark and I have talked about this at length. It's amazing to me because Emma Hunt says, we've had a person lie about killing themselves. There was that too, wasn't there?
Yes.
In fact, that individual had a whole litany of lies, and all meant to elicit responses in people that really cared about them. I think that's probably a sign of mental illness.
Yep. And speaking of, there's Brandon chiming in right now. Let me say something.
Brandon, good to see you, bud.
While you're wetting your whistle there.
Sure.
Yeah, guys, and I want to give Brandon a little bit more, props here, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the first one to do that, to come here and just say it.
Yep.
There was no ba 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 ba. It was just, hey, this is what I was doing. This is where I was at. Thank you guys for helping me, but hey, I screwed up. Here I am.
I blew it last night. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great because, like you said, I think that broke the ice for other people, and it's so important. It truly is so important to start your journey in recovery on a truthful note, and so many of us don't, including myself. So yeah.
Chuck Norris says, I don't know why people have to lie. One of the worst is when the one you love may have been a lie the whole time. You know what, Chuck? That's so true. But I'm going to tell you today why they lie. Because this is a question that, really comes up all the time. If you knew how many times someone says this to myself or my partner, man, I don't know why they just needed to lie. Of course you do. It may not make sense to you until we point it out, but I'm going to tell you exactly why they lie. They lie because you got to think of them using the analogy of the boat, right? They are a ship, and every ship in theory has one or two people that keep that ship going in the right direction, right? It could be a couple of captains, it could be a captain and a first mate, it could be any number of people that keep that boat going the way that it's supposed to. Well, if it's a human being, they're at the helm, right, of everything going on in their life. They make the decisions, they do these things, and they steer that ship, and they do it ideally the way we're designed. They do it honestly. And if they make a mistake, they cop to it, and then they move on. However, if that person becomes addicted to drugs, they're no longer at the helm. I promise you, people. we only spend an hour a day together, right? But we spend an hour a day together a lot. And you guys hear me and you hear my bobbleheaded partner. And I mean, we talk for, right? It's probably about 1,000 hours or something out there of just listening to us talk. Um, and it's, I would like to believe that all of you have a pretty good idea of who I am, right? And of who Mark is. Um, and the reason for that is you're dealing with me at the helm. Can you picture me, the guy you're talking to right now? Can you picture me saying, um, all right, I'm going to run in and I'm going to tell these people to put all the money in the bag. And then I'm going to come out and I'm going to drive away. But I'm going to go rob this bank. Does that sound, honestly, does that sound like the guy you know? How about this one? How about, um, all right, you want me to just go in and beat the crap out of him? Is that it? How bad do I got to hurt him? And what do I get out of it? Well, we need you to go in there. You don't have to stab him, but you got to hit him in the head with a lock. The lock needs to be in a sock. Don't hit him more than one or two times. People, I assure you, if you take a master lock and you put it in a sock and you swing it with anything on it, when it hits the head, it splits it open. It's the reason you use it. It's a very, very severe weapon, and it's one that you can get very easily inside the system. And when you hit somebody with a lock, you do incredible damage. So, can you picture me? Do I seem like the kind of cruel person that could say, all right, for 2 grams, I'll go in there and hit that guy in the head with a lock twice? Well, I was that person. And it wasn't because, Tommy was not at the helm, right? At the helm was my drug of choice. My drug of choice was making the decisions for me. And it's a tough thing to get sober because when you finally get back control of the wheel, right? You get a really good look at all of the things that that boat has run into or run over while you have not been at the wheel. And in order to move on, you have to come clean about all of the things that you did while out of control, right? While you were at the wheel. And it's a difficult thing. It may be the most difficult thing to do in sobriety. And it's one of the reasons that we yell, own it, right? Own it. You're not going to rebuild if you hem and haw. When you decide that you're going to be a better person, you can't give a half truth, right? And we're the master at that, aren't we? For real. You cheated on your significant other, and now the time has come where you're going to come clean, right? So what do? We say stuff like, you know what? I went out with one girl and we kissed and we danced a little bit, and the truth of the matter is, you had sex with 6 people, right? And you're going to give just enough of a truth so that you get a little of that guilt alleviated, right? So you feel a little bit better about yourself. And you're hoping that it's going to gain just enough trust in your significant other that from this point on, they can begin to trust you. Sadly, it will eat a hole in your soul, right? It will eat a hole in your soul. You can't rebuild a relationship based on a lie. You can't. And, the comment, it's really hard when you realize that the person that you were with, the whole thing might have been a lie. I don't believe that happens very often. I really don't. I don't think that, I mean, I'm sure that it's a possibility, but I believe that for the most part, most of the time when people fall in love, they do it for the right reasons. And then a substance takes over. And when that substance gets a hold of the wheel, you are no longer in any control of what you're going to be doing in your life. And that's just the reality. And that is the stumbling block to getting sober. There are a lot of different types of lies, and we talk about them, and they're just part of society, aren't they? I mean, I know right now you're thinking of one right off because everybody says it all the time. It's not a big one, right? It's a little white lie. Okay, it's just a little white lie. And little white lies have their place. They do when they're not hurtful and they're not in place for the purpose of furthering your addiction, right? Hey, does this dress make me look fat? If you say, no, not really, it's green might not be your color, right? I mean, the truth might be, good Lord, does that dress make you look fat, right? In fact, you should burn it in the backyard because that is the worst. I mean, of all the dresses you have, that one makes you look like a beefalo. Not a nice thing to say, right? Those kind of white lies, I don't think we need to throw into the mix. And I don't think that you need to become honest to the point of of being hurtful, right? I really believe that. I think that there are places where you can knock the edges off of the truth for the purpose of being kind. However, if your little white lie is to keep your drug addiction going, or to keep faith in you going so that you can get more money out of someone to keep the lie rolling, that's not a little white lie. That's a big, nasty, ugly, disgusting lie. Anything that is moving you forward in that direction, if the purpose of you telling a falsehood is to keep your drug addiction going, then that's a problem. It's a big problem. And I realize that a great many of you are already way ahead of the curve on this. And to the person who is struggling with a shopping addiction, I'm not bagging on this person. I'm not. And honestly, more than just about anything else I've ever done on the boat, I really had a long conversation about using this. I said, I would like to use you as an example, and I don't intend to use your name. And they said, no, well, that's okay. I said, well, before you say that, I'm really going to use you. Like, this is going to be half of the show. No one's ever going to know who you are, right? But it's going to be half of the show because I think it is such an amazing illustration. Because let's back it up, people, right? What happened? Well, let's call this person Larry because it's not even close to their name. So when I said, hey, Larry, are all of the cards broken, right? Did you break every single card? Yeah, I did. Okay. You realize that those are preemptive lies. That lie was told because Larry knew exactly what was going to be done with the card that was not destroyed. You understand? I mean, these are lies upon lies upon lies. If it was just a matter of, yeah, I really do need to save this for him. What if I get a flat tire? What if I get, but that was not the case at all. This was I'm not really ready to be done with my addiction. So I'm going to lie to the captain, right? And by the way, people, I didn't call Larry out of the blue and say, come on, let's work on your problem, right? This is someone who reached out to me and said, are you willing to work with me? Because I'm not a drug addict. This is what what my addiction is. Will you work with me? I said, sure, under a couple of circumstances. And they said, okay, what's that? You're going to have to break every one of your cards. They got to be broken today. If I'm going to work with you, they got to go because you're not going to get any better if you have those, right? It's like a drug addict who says, I'm going to get sober, but I'm going to leave a gram of heroin in my sock drawer just in case, right? Just in case. We use the illustration all the time. Burn the ships, right? All in. Shove every chip you got into the center of the table. All in moment. You're leaving nothing on the table. You're leaving nothing behind. You're betting it all. This is it. They knew that wasn't the case. So that lie was, I don't know, it was a little bit worse than most because it was setting up something that they knew at the moment when we had that conversation that they were going to go shopping. Why? Because that's what makes them feel okay in their own skin. Might not make sense to you. You're right. For a lot of us, that doesn't make any sense. So just think about it as they bought heroin. Think about it as they bought a 6-pack or a 12-pack, right? It really doesn't matter, people. I hope you really get that. It doesn't matter what the addiction is. And when you talk to these people, it's fascinating. It really is. I mean, from just a scientific standpoint, it's fascinating because I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me how shopping could give you that same feeling of peace that a drug does. But I don't have to understand it on that level. I just have to understand that that's the way it is, right? And I have suggested to this person, I'm not sure whether or not they're going to remain on the boat as a full-time crew member. There is a very good chance that they are going to go to a group that is simply shoppers. These are people who simply have a shopping addiction because I think that they're going to be much more forthright, right? I think that they feel very strange coming here and saying, hey, I just blew, $5,000 on this, because to us it's going to seem
Trivial.
odd.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or trivial. And it shouldn't.
No,
It
it shouldn't.
shouldn't. It's the exact same damn thing, right? It is a behavior that is causing this person's life to go down the crap tubes. And that's kind of the definition of addiction, isn't it? We're doing something that we know is wrong, and somehow our brain is rewarding us for it. I have high hopes that this person is going to recover from this. I really do. But yeah, I'm hoping that they're going to find a group, and I actually pointed them in a couple of directions. I really hope that they go there, and if they don't find the same kind of loving situation, then they can come back here, and we'll accept them with open arms and try to understand it. It is very different, but at the same time, it's identical.
Yeah, exactly. And and I think that what you said there is key as far as going to the other group part of it, because how oftentimes do we talk about who's the best people to help you? It's the people that have been through the exact same thing. We can understand addiction at a very high level, which I think we do, but I also think that like I'll never, I guess I can kind of understand like a meth addiction or anything like that, because it is still I got a similar feeling from opiates. But
Sure.
when it comes to like the shopping, I've never felt that when I've bought anything. I've never, I guess it really what it boils down to at a basic level. I'm able to empathize and not sympathize,
Right.
and
Perfect.
I think that that's probably where it falls. And I think people get better help when they find a place where they can sympathize, because it really is, it becomes a more honest, I know we're talking about lying, but it becomes a more honest feeling to somebody that, hey, this person knows exactly, like when me and Tommy talk, there's certain things we don't have to say to each other because we already know. So
Right.
it saves a lot of time, and it also saves a lot of, hey, I know he knows what I'm talking about. So I don't have to say it. And it gives you a sense of comfort and a sense of understanding. And it allows you to be more open and more honest. And that's, it's just kind of my opinion on that. But
No, I think that that's solid. Couple of good questions here. First of all, do I eat peppers too? Yes, I do. When the lifeboat got started, I backed off a lot because I just didn't have enough time to stick with it. And it is one of those things you have to stick with because there's a tolerance involved. And when that tolerance drops, you really, lose a decent amount of the fun. But yeah, I still do, and I will whenever Johnny's around. I'll always be tricked into eating something hotter than I want to. Um, and Ilea says, "Why is beer sold in multiples of
I've
six?
seen that. It's
6, 12,
interesting.
18, 24, 30. There is an actual reason for this, believe it or not. And it's a two piece, really. The reason for that comes in two reasons. Number one, believe it or not, was packaging, plain and simple. Trying to make a cardboard carrier for a four beers on each side uh, was difficult. But more importantly, they wanted to balance what you were purchasing so that if three people got together, right, from a getting a buzz standpoint, two beers each was not going to be enough. And for marketing purposes, they wanted to be able to make sure that they sell as much beer as possible. So they wanted the six pack to be just small enough that if there's three people, you're going to have to buy two of them. Honestly, like this was thought about, this was engineered, and it's basically considered the perfect number for marketing purposes to sell more of the product. And sadly, that really is what all of it comes down to, is to try to get you to buy as much alcohol as you possibly can, plain and simple. So it was one of the early beer companies' attempt at uh, at ensuring that you buy more of this than not. And for the individual that said, "I have never been able to quit smoking," um, there are a lot of things these days that will make quitting smoking easier, right? Nowadays, there are a lot of things that can be done that were not done in the past, right? So, Bupurion is a it's originally marketed as an antidepressant. It is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, an SSRI. and it is normally sold under the name Wellbutrin. But they have found that in smaller doses, it does a lot to help people cope with not smoking. Under It's sold under the name Zyban for a cessation, a drug to help with the quitting of smoking, and it seems to do really well for a lot of people. On top of that, there are now nicotine gums, there are nicotine lozenges, there are nicotine inhalers like the Vicatrol inhaler, where you breathe in air.
They got
That
pouches too, don't they?
They do have pouches now. They have pouches that will step you down, and those pouches are not tobacco products. They're just a nicotine product. And then on top of that, believe it or not, vaping has been a real bonus for people that are trying to quit. Not just switch from one to the other, but if you're trying to quit, vaping gives you the opportunity to continue to breathe something in, so you don't lose the ritual. And you can continually drop the amount of nicotine in what you are vaping until it's next to nothing, at which point you basically breathe in vapor that has absolutely no nicotine in it at all for the last week. And there has been a great deal of success with that. But the key to all of these things, people, the number one key to getting sober, to quitting a habit, to stopping whatever the hell you're doing, believe it or not, the number one thing is going to be what? It's going to be honesty, and it's going to be connection. This is why people do not successfully quit alone. For real. You can lie to yourself easily, right? Lying to yourself is the easiest thing in the world to do because you don't feel guilty when you lie to yourself. You feel really guilty when you lie to others. When you lie to yourself and you say, well, I'm not going to drink today, no matter what, I'm not going to drink today. Today is the day I'm not going to drink. I promise myself I'm not going to drink. Well, when you break a promise to yourself, how long does that last with you? Honestly, this was the birth of the people looking out for each other, right? This was the birth of AA, the original concept of, okay, Mark, you keep me from drinking today, and I'm going to keep you from drinking today. And when you became, when you were on the hook to somebody else, when I give Mark my word, I'm far more likely to follow through with it than if I just promise myself, because I don't want to have to look my bobble-headed partner in the eye and say to him, I lied to you. That's a big thing. It really is. And it's the reason that this is the gold standard. This is the reason why group therapy works when other things don't. It's because all of a sudden you're accountable to somebody else. And when you are accountable to somebody else, I mean, that's a fancy way of saying you're going to have to lie to somebody else if you want to continue to do what you're doing. And whether or not you realize this, we're not designed that way. Honestly, if we were designed to comfortably lie whenever we want, then the polygraph test would not work. Think about that. If lying was something that was comfortable and all human beings were very happy to just tell falsehoods at will, then the polygraph test would not exist, because what it tests is discomfort, right? Galvanic skin, reflex, all of these things. Because when I say to, a lie to my bobble-headed partner, you pick anything. If I say, boy, you're a handsome guy. Sorry, I couldn't let that. Come on,
that's true.
That was
true.
That was low-hanging fruit. I was low-hanging fruit. I had to take that. No, but if I say something to Mark that isn't true, if I tell him a lie, things happen. My skin literally begins to crawl, right? And I'm not using that figuratively. I'm using that literally. It's why they're able to test it so easily, because our skin crawls and our pupils dilate and our respirations change. Your heartbeat changes. All of these things change when you lie because it goes against what you were born to do. We are designed to be truthful. May not seem that way, especially because we've been lying to everybody forever, right? We have had to BS everybody we've ever met so that we could keep the buzz going. And you say, yeah, but how do you even get into that? Right again. You gave the helm to heroin.
Yep.
right? You gave the steering wheel to your ship, to booze, to coke, to heroin. And what is its biggest fear? It's going to have to give up the steering wheel. It's going to lose control over this vessel. So while it's at the wheel, it's going to make sure that you lie to whoever we have to lie to, damn it, right? This person is going to try to do everything they can to make sure you get sober. So you tell them a lie. And as we've talked about on the boat before, it becomes such a habit that when you start to get to that time of the month where you're running out of money, right? And you no longer have enough cash to get you through the end of the month, you know you're going to have to start asking people for a little bit of money just to get you through that 6 days or 7 days between the time you run out and the time that the next check comes, right? There's that little brief period of time. Well, what do? We start telling a lie 3 weeks before then. I've talked about this before, and I use it as an example because it's one I used to do. You know, hey, Tommy, how are you? How are you doing? I just come over to the house. Good. Damn, though, man, the car is making the worst noise. Really, what is it? I don't know. You know, it's only when I go around a corner. It's right all the other time. And you have to put it that way because they might want to get in the car with you, right?
Yep.
It's only when I go around corners a certain way, but you'll just hear this. It's kind of scary, honestly. And inevitably, the people that cared about me would say, well, you need to go get that looked at. You know what I mean? Before you do serious damage to the car, maybe it isn't even safe. You need to go get that looked at. Yeah, I'll do that. I promise you, I'll get to it. I'll get to it in the next day or two or whatever. And then you just keep that there, right? And if you know you don't instantly need that money, well, then you just keep cultivating that lie, don't you? Hey, how are things? Good. Car's getting a little worse. I'm going to go in this week, I promise. But it's still now it's getting a little worse. Now it's like it's really starting to make noise. You know, it sounds like something's going to fall off the thing. Well, you really need to go get that looked at. I mean, what are you doing? Well, money's a little tight right now. You know what I mean? Like in 2 or 3 weeks, I might be able to do it. But here, you know what? Why don't you let me give you some money? No. I'm all right. I don't need it. I can go another. No, just take the money and go get it looked at. You can pay me back. And then you get in the car without feeling any remorse. You should, right? Why aren't you feeling remorse? Well, because you're not at the helm. Right? Heroin is at the helm, and it has no intention of letting you get away with things. Tommy, Linda has sent messages, and it better be good news. I think there was some auctions going off today, so that might be a good thing. So it's absolutely essential, people, that you have to start to look at. Wow, that is really funny.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, there's somebody in the audience. I'm not going to point out who it is, but somebody thinks Mark is attractive. See that?
Yeah.
We said that there's no lion on the boat, so that'll tell you something.
I missed that
right?
one.
What's going on with that one? For the love of God, let's hope we all miss that one.
Yeah, oh my God. You know, you wouldn't say that when you come by my house in the summertime and I'm sitting out in the front yard with a wife beater and some Cheetos and a baby pool and just wiping all the dust off.
Nice.
Just kidding, by the way. No, but yeah, you know, and I think on the subject here, I think that we have to be that honest at the beginning. It's the best time to do it. And I know I've said it so many times. I mean, I know I have, guys, so I'm sorry if you guys have heard me say that, but it's true. Whenever we're going to be honest, you know, when's the best time to do it? When is the best time to do it? It's at the beginning, because everybody, if you're ever going to get forgiveness, you have to start it right there. You don't want to start your recovery on a note of, you know, in honesty. And I could share something with you too. You know, like 2 or 3 years later, you know, I caught myself lying for no reason. And, you know, of course, I as soon as I realized what I was doing, I walked away from what I just said, and I ended up going back and like, hey, I'm sorry, I just lied to you. I don't even know why I did. It just happens, you know, and I think it becomes embedded in us and becomes who we are in such a big way that sometimes you don't even realize what you're doing, you know?
Right.
It really truly does. And, you know, Tommy was talking about, you know, at the beginning, who, you know, it's really not who we are. You know, would you picture him coming up to you and saying, hey, give me all the money in the drawer, you know, and all that kind of a thing. for me, could you guys picture me taking my son's Christmas money and going to buying pills with it? You know, those kinds of things. Those are the big things, and justifying it. You know, I added a little bit of truth into what Tommy was saying earlier. You know, we had just enough truth to justify it in our own head. You know, hey, I'll give it back to him with interest. You know, all this kind of thing starts going through your mind, and I think that's what we all end up doing. And so yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. So Courtney James, I have a new grandson, Ezra, born on Christmas Day. Congratulations, people. Can we get a 1 in there for that? Because that is beautiful stuff. Congratulations to a new family member. What a great day to be born, too, huh?
That's awesome.
Christmas Day. You've got to absolutely love that. You really do.
Awesome.
And Stacy Michaels, her jacket isn't showing.
I don't know why.
She's a commander. Wonder why that's not working. Well, we're going to get on that because your jacket needs to be showing.
I don't know why.
It really does.
It was showing, and it was showing earlier, and I don't know what the heck is going on. We've been
we're going to have to figure that out. Yeah. And then let arts live. Johnny Scoville sent me. I'm not going to hold that against you. He sent me here. My name is Daniel Cherry Bativa from New York. I'm trying to be honest and tell my own mother why I am like this. And she doesn't want to hear it. Here's why she doesn't want to hear it. Because since the very beginning of time, everybody has convinced parents that it's their fault. This has been a real problem with rehabilitation in this country. They want to make sure that the addict doesn't take full responsibility because guilt will drive them back to use more. So they want to be able to put this onto somebody else. So parents across the board, when they find out that their child is using drugs, and I don't care if their child is 50 or 15, they're going to say, it's my fault. Where did I go wrong? So whenever you try to communicate something like that to your parents, it's one of those things that you have to say, I want you to understand this. I'm addicted to drugs, not because of you, not because of anything you did, right? You did a great job. I'm addicted to drugs because I made bad decisions. And I have a malfunctioning reward center in my brain, which has caused me to get addicted to a substance. And I'm fighting right now to get clean. And while it's not your fault at all that I got addicted, it's going to be your fault that I get clean because you instilled in me that kind of value and that kind of ethic. And I'm going to get clean, Ma, and it's going to be you. And everything you taught me that's going to get me there. They have to understand it's not their fault because that's what they're hearing. When you say to a parent, I want you to know I'm addicted to drugs, they hear, wah, 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 your fault, wah, 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 right? Honestly. And it's something that you really have to be kind of kid glove with when you communicate it. And it's a very, very sad thing, but it is a fact. And we have Sharon Chandler, who's a new member. Welcome, Sharon. She said, I was a little unhappy with the toxin in the title here. Don't know what might be to blame for it, but on a personal note, lay off the venom. Be well all. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Stop lying. No healing happens unless we stop. And everyone knows you are. I don't see venom in that, hon. I really don't.
I don't either.
I'll be really honest. There is no venom in that. I mean, I could put venom in that, right? Quit being a dirt bag, right? That would be venom. Stop lying. There's no venom in that. And if you see that, I don't know, maybe you need to think, why is it that I'm seeing venom? As of right now, there's going to be about 130 people, 140 people so far that have stopped in and checked this out. And as of yet, I don't see anyone else that has seen problems with it, Sharon. I honestly, we avoid venom in most of what we do, but we got to be really honest in everything that we do. And if from time to time, if it sounds like there's an edge, it's probably because that we want it to be. But I don't know that this is that this would be considered by me anyway venom.
Not at all.
The real problem in a group like this is that we cannot lie to one another and have any hopes whatsoever of moving forward. Right? We're not going to proceed to the next level if if we sugarcoat this. We really, it's not going to be a situation that works. We're not moving forward if we're lying. I honestly, let me apologize if this offended you in any way. Sadly, I would not change it. I
No.
would probably put it up the exact same way if I were to write it again.
Yep.
I'm gonna back my bobbleheaded partner on this because what I do is I send over what I intend to talk about, and then he puts together the thumbnails. However, I approve them, and I just didn't see anything there that
Well,
gave
yeah.
me any reason.
There's
You know?
nothing. There's nothing. There's no venom there, guys. And here's the thing. I think sometimes we have, well, all the time, we need to be honest. In
Yeah,
what we're
to a
saying.
fault.
And here's the other thing too, guys. It's a thumbnail and it's a title, and we've talked. I guess we haven't talked about it in a minute, but inside baseball, you have to put something there to try to grab the algorithm and to try to grab other new people in here.
Right.
I don't think that was over the top. If I was, I apologize, but I don't think it was. Um, yeah, there you go. That's a good way to put it, Johnny. He said if it said stop lying, Johnny, it would have offended him. Nobody.
Oddly enough,
Yeah,
that was what I suggested,
yeah.
but Mark wouldn't do it. My original thought was, hey, tell Johnny to stop lying. But yeah, Mark wasn't having anything to do with it. And I'll tell you something. And I love you, Sharon. I'm glad you're here. God bless you. I really am. Every once in a while, though, I'll get something like this where, someone will say, I was a little put off by, let's see, how was it? I was a little unhappy with the toxin in the title here. Don't know what might be to blame for it, but on a personal note, lay off the venom. With all due respect, I get this a lot where someone will say, on a personal note, don't do this, or on a personal note, don't do that. I'd be more than happy to take everyone's opinion on everything, right? And when the when this place sucks, when the show is bad, I'm going to take the heat, and so is my bobbleheaded partner, right? If we get on a bad run and the things that we're doing are not really going well, it's going to be my fault. It's going to be Mark's, and the buck stops with us every single time. For that reason, I probably am not going to take, the on a personal note stop. I'm probably not going to stop. I'm probably not. I'm going to do, we're going to do what we think is right because we're going to be the ones that take the heat for it if it doesn't work, and we're going to get the lion's share of the of the praise if it works. And for that reason, we got to go with what we think
Yeah.
is in the best interest of the boat after 600 of these. And I'm very sorry that you saw that as venom. If I
would.
offended anybody else here, I'm sorry.
I would be curious to see, to know the Sharon's opinion after she watched the show. That's, I would be curious because I don't think that we presented
Sure,
this.
reach out to us.
Yeah, please let us know because if we're coming off that way, I mean, obviously we don't want to come off like all, but I don't think we
No.
were. To be honest with you, yeah,
And great question from Lady Spellbreaker. She says, I'm new here and I'm trying to understand. In this recovery platform, is Mary Jane considered a drug or medicine for people with PTSD? And the answer to that is both. And here's what we mean. There are people for whom cannabis is a great, great medicine. I will never debate that. And I will also say that we're not anti-drug, period. I think that, and we've talked about this, I think that there is some amazing research that is being done with psilocybin and with ibogaine and some other stuff that has just been amazing, helping people with PTSD. And for that, I don't really have a problem with those substances. Now, if a guy's eating 14 grams of mushrooms to go see a rock concert, I don't think that that's such a great idea, right? So there are people who use cannabis and they use it as a way to deal with post-traumatic stress disorder. And I think that's just great, especially if that is exactly how it's being used. However, we have people here who have been smoking a quarter of an ounce a day for 30 years, and it has negatively affected their life in a very serious way. And they have become psychologically dependent on it to a point where they're not comfortable in their life. So we do not promote any drug on the show because chances are there's somebody who is listing that drug as their substance of choice and the one that they are trying to quit.
Yeah.
So for that reason,
That's also what
yeah,
we. I'm sorry.
yeah, there's a she says, yes, I know veterans who use it for PTSD and for seizures. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yep.
I'm all for that. Yeah. So we're not anti-cannabis. We're anti-addiction. And I know that there are people who say you cannot be addicted to cannabis. You can be addicted to bananas. You can be addicted to anything that causes your brain to start to reward you for using something. And we have people who struggled for 30 years to try to quit smoking. And for those people, we're not going to glorify a drug they're trying to quit.
Yeah.
If, however, you're using cannabis for the purpose of trying to get clean, fantastic. We just don't really try to to push it here. And there's a guy here tonight who used cannabis as a way to quit drinking, and we have asked him nicely, and I think he was a little upset at us at one point that we just don't want to. We don't want to come out and say, "Hey, that's a great way to quit drinking," because there are people who are struggling with that. If somebody came out and said, I've been smoking 3 grams of crack a day for the last 6 years. And you know how I beat it? I started drinking a fifth of bourbon a day and I completely, quit crack. We wouldn't want to push that because there are people trying to quit drinking bourbon. So we kind of have to walk a fine line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cannabis addiction is related to the heart and throat chakras imbalances. I don't know enough about that to speak to it intelligently.
Yeah,
all I
either.
do know is, all I do know is that we've got a lot of people. Yes, Lady Fi is now addicted to watches. I do know that we have a lot of people that is their struggle, and they would very much like to quit smoking cannabis because it has become an issue in their life. And for those people, out of respect to those people, I will not advocate any substance, any substance. I really try to not do that. So, but I do understand where you're coming from. And I think that there has been amazing results in studies from people using cannabis as a way to treat PTSD. And I think even more so from what I've been reading would be psilocybin, right? So the active ingredient in psychedelic mushrooms has done some amazing stuff. I've found literally no literature that says anything negative about it. But again, it's not eating a handful of shrooms and sitting around your house seeing if you can get better. It's done in a clinical kind of a setup that, where they work with people before the experience, during, and then after the experience. And I think that's, it's been something that has worked out very well for a lot of people. So
and I think that really kind of sums all that up, really honestly, because
I hope so.
No, I think you did it. You said it well, because there are things that society accepts that we don't, and there's things that we accept that society doesn't. So
true story.
It's one of those things where wherever you fall in that, and and we're not so naive to think that first off we can't be wrong. We're also not so naive to think that everybody here is always 100% going to agree with what we say. And we're not going to agree with everything that you guys say. It's just impossible. That's an impossibility. And I don't think we would want it any other way, because that's how, iron sharpens iron. And when we're challenging each other at a certain level, as long as it ain't too much, especially, in this platform, it does make us better. And, we're willing to learn and willing to, I don't want to say eat crow, because it's really not what it is. It's more of accepting somebody else's opinion and actually thinking about it and taking it seriously, and then come to a decision after. And I think that we've done fairly well here, and you guys have too. And we always listen to you guys, always.
Yeah. Well, and there's also, we get a lot of stuff. Great comment here. Andrew Fedorov said, if I break my leg, I need pills. No question. We have never once said to somebody, don't eat pain pills because you're in pain, right? Our beef is with addiction. I think that opiates, for the purpose of treating pain, may be the greatest drug in the world for what it is designed to do. It is a great painkiller. It does exactly what it's supposed to. I personally cannot take it because of what I've done in my life. It's a non-option, but that doesn't mean that I recommend that people who are in pain don't take pain meds. That's definitely not who we are.
Right.
And yes, you're right. Micro dosing is the way to go. She makes a good point because all of the studies on psilocybin, they're never anybody doing 7 and 8 grams, right? These are all micro dosing, and they're usually done over a 12-month period of time. We did a show on it. You might want to go back and look at it because I am a very, very, I'm a very firm believer in the possibilities of what psilocybin can do. When it's done right, I think it could be a miracle drug. I have done ibogaine. I've done a lot of mushrooms too, but I've done ibogaine and didn't have the success that a lot of people have had. I was a little disappointed with that substance, and I did it in a clinical setting. But psilocybin, I think the potential of that drug we have yet to even scratch the surface of. I think it really is an amazing, amazing thing, and yeah, I have high hopes for it. But we have never been an anti-drug channel. We're not anti-weed. We're not anti-alcohol, right? There are people out there that can drink that and have no problem with it, and they keep things in check. But we're not going to talk about that here because there's a lot of people here struggling with alcohol, and I don't want to trigger people with discussions of drugs that other people are trying to quit. And that's really where we sort of draw the line on that. That makes sense.
Yep. No, we don't have.
Michael says ibogaine works often, but is expensive. I've done it twice, Stacy, and I just didn't get. I know people that swear by it. It just did not work out very well for me. And there are healthy addictions, people. This comes up a lot too. For instance, Cemetery is getting addicted to watches, and he thinks he needs another Omega. And I personally think that is healthy, really healthy. I'll be in touch. Got one with your name on it.
All right, guys. All right, well, we're at the top, guys. We're actually 10 minutes past. I'm not sure.
Lady Spellbreaker says, I do have a question. I'll tell you what, Lady Spellbreaker. Do me a favor. Reach out to me, and you can get me at sober@myyahoo.com. SOBER at myyahoo, not Yahoo. myyahoo.com, and I would love to get into a discussion about that with you. We ran a little bit long, people.
That's okay.
Which, the big red button gets a little upset with that, and then I got to pay, Squirrel more money, and that's just, he's really been squeezing me lately, so we're gonna have to call this one. We will be back tomorrow night, right? Yep. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. I love these kind of discussions. I love it when people weigh in.
Yep.
We could do an entire conversation about this. We really could, and I would look forward to it. Lady Spellbreaker, reach out to me. Maybe we can get you on the show, and we could just do it in real time, because I think we could get a lot more done if we were just talking in real time. I'd love to have you on.
Call in if you want.
Yeah. So reach out to me. Yep. I'm at sober@myyahoo.com. And congratulations to Lady Crispin, who apparently got me both those watches I was looking for. Well done, girl. Well done. Cemetery, I will be reaching out to you tonight too. I got some pictures for you. All right, we will be back tomorrow night. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. People, between now and then, you know what? Don't lie to anybody. Don't lie to yourself, right? You're better than that. You're going to find that this whole process of trying to get sober and remain sober is going to be something that works out a whole lot better if you're just honest through the whole process. And that's, you agree with me on that?
Yes.
My Bible
100%. Yes.
I thought you would.
Yes.
Look at that. See that? I don't know what I'm doing. Alrighty, people. We will see you tomorrow night. God bless. We love you. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. And on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages, Captain.
Get it under control, Cap. Come on now. And this is a cat in a basket. Alive. Watch. Maybe not. Good night, everybody. We love you.